It's October, that time of year when almost everyone joins in the festivities. Ghosts, costumes, pumpkins, celebrations everywhere. Most people take part for fun, without really pausing to think about what it all means. I had planned to share an enchanting story, a ghostly tale, something fitting for the season. But recent events have turned my life into its own kind of nightmare. Maybe this, too, is a form of meditation, telling my truth aloud. It started after the night of cursing and shouting with my hostile neighbor. On my way home the next day, one of my acquaintances, someone who'd heard about the commotion, stopped me to chat. At first, I thought he just wanted to check in. But no, he wanted gossip. That angered me. Then he revealed something troubling. That the same neighbor had someone over that day, sweeping everything from her roof directly into our backyard. Even when someone in my house told them to stop, they kept going. Not only that, apparently the neighbor broke off branches from the tree situated on her roof and threw them into the yard of the neighbor who actually owns the tree. How do you even know that? I asked. Turns out, he'd been watching the whole thing from somewhere he didn't want me to know about. At first I thought, well, that's not my fight. Not this time. But then my acquaintance told me I should just chill. All that happened prior is maybe the neighbor and her household members did not want to struggle in carrying the branches through her house. Really? As if I don't have to do the same? You think I have superpowers and just fly those heavy branches over my roof? I haul them through my house, scratch the furniture, clean up the mess, all of it. You could have gotten someone to deal with it, he said. Oh, you mean pay someone to clean it up? I asked. And when I explained that I couldn't afford to pay someone to clean up, he looked at me as though working means I must be rich. I've grown cautious when people share information with me. The second time tree branches were cut and dumped into our backyard, this was the person who implied that the same neighbor was responsible. However, when he later passed by our gate, while I was getting rid of the branches, and shouting, "Why does this keep happening?" he contradicted himself, calling out, "But isn't it your tree?" Some people really believe that if you're angry about some unjust being done to you, you're being unreasonable. They expect you to swallow whatever people do to you and smile. But tell me, would you stay calm if someone kept dumping trash into your yard? Soda bottles, baby diapers with poop, plastic bags filled with poop, ceramic plates with leftover food, used condoms tied up and tossed over the wall. These are some of the items I've had to deal with from the person responsible for dumping them. Even during construction, glass bottles which were cemented into the border wall was dumped with other debris over to our side, plus cracking of our interior walls which we cannot even repair. And yet, we are expected not to react. As if we have the money to fix all that damage. As if anger isn't a human response when you are expected to bear this again and again. You know, this whole situation reminded me of a story, one I call Claro and Dussel. Once upon a time, there was a worker named Claro. She worked with her friend Dussel under a big company called Turbulence. Claro processed data, while Dussel worked closely with one of the top supervisors. Claro worked hard, too hard, as her work could only be completed after her coworker did her part. Her coworker, lazy and favored, rarely showed up. Claro ended up doing both their jobs, underpaid, exhausted, her personal life falling apart. On Dussel's advice, she reported it. But the moment she did, her boss turned on her. Why? Because that lazy coworker was secretly in a relationship with the boss, a man married to another. Claro had no idea. Soon after, Dussel distanced herself from Claro, acting like she barely knew her. Claro, broken and betrayed, quit her job. The next week, Dussel's sister was hired to replace her. The moral? In this world, it doesn't always matter who's right, only who you're aligned with. Some people pretend to support you during difficult times, offering advice that appears caring and sincere, while secretly harboring a hidden agenda. Today, as I waited for the coming storm, Melissa, they call her, I noticed something. I hadn't watered the plants for days, expecting rain. But when I finally stepped outside, I saw it, a freshly broken tree branch lodged in the corner of the opposite wall. Judging by its position, I could only conclude that the branch originated from the yard of the neighbor who owns the tree. Well then, I guess my acquaintance was telling some truths, now considering what was said. I can also see evidence that last year's storm debris had been removed, leaving the contentious branch on the wall, the same one that had triggered the previous dispute. Now the question is, what other motives are at play? The strategy seems clear: to watch how we respond to this, given the threats that were made previously. I suppose the saying is true: when it rains, it pours.